What's happening, folks? Back with another reaction, back with some more punk rock, and we're back with some more Propagandhi. And we're going to listen to one of their more famous tunes from their first couple albums. It's from their second album. It's called And We Thought Nation States Were a Bad Idea. I do believe it's often referred to just as Nation States, I should mention. I do believe it's become one of their more popular songs at concerts. I've seen them twice. I'm pretty sure they played it at when I saw them touring for Today's Empire is Tomorrow's Ashes way back in the early 2000s. It was a long time ago, so it's more of like this vague memory. I do remember some songs from that concert very clearly. I remember they closed with Purina Hall of Fame. But again, I don't remember all the songs that they played from the earlier albums, but I do remember Anti-Manifesto was played. When I saw them for the Victory Lap tour in 2017, they did not play this. But like I said, I've understood that over the years it has been a very popular tune at their concerts. I do enjoy it very much. It was one of two songs that really stuck out to me when I first got this album, Less Talk More Rock. Shout out to this awesome album, which, I mentioned it before. It was sort of my introduction to the first time, like, I was following a band from one album, and then their next album had a slightly different sound, which was cool. It was sort of like a challenge to me sonically, because I was like, oh, this sounds different than How to Clean Everything. But then I kept listening to it, and I was like, no, this is great too. And, a lot of the ideas are running in similar directions and so on. So I really do love this album, even if when I first got it, it was a bit like, oh, wow, this is different. But yeah, the first song, Apparently I'm a PC Fascist, really big fan of that song too. And like I said, and then this one, And We Thought the Nation States Were a Bad Idea, were probably my two favorites. But the whole album is great. Resisting Tyrannical Government, I Was a Preteen McCarthyist, Less Talk More Rock, Nailing Descartes to the Wall, like they're just all great. The State Lottery, wow, I reacted to that one, both on my old channel, and then I redid the reaction on this channel because I thought the first one wasn't good enough. Nevertheless, I really do enjoy this song. As far as I can tell, lyrically, it's about what used to be referred to as globalization, which I always thought was a sort of gross oversimplification. It's like globalization of what? And it's like really talking about a globalization of a very specific corporate-driven form of capitalism in which local laws are disregarded for sort of this ubiquitous corporate control globally, where, companies can move between countries as they please to find the laws that best suit their production and, are best suited to their polluting ways and so on. And so the song is getting at the idea that, in these countries, politicians cast this as part of like, well, you just kind of got to get in line and just, just sort of rubber stamp the politicians who are driving this and so on. But ultimately, they wrap it up in patriotism, and it's like, oh, it's about, making our country the best and making sure our companies can dominate and so on. But what's really happening is that these forces are instituting or creating or generating economic tides and economic trends which don't actually benefit the very people who are sort of, falling in line with this and just sort of burying their heads in the barcodes of these neo-colonials. So it's one of those things where this globalization of a extreme form of corporate-driven capitalism ultimately means that environmental and labor laws in these places where these corporations rush off to because they have cheap labor and there's not really a lot of protective environmental laws that could impede their polluting businesses and so on. But then back home where these companies come from, the very people who are sort of trained to support this process and this globalization of this corporate capitalistic model, they ultimately don't benefit from it, and their lives, their economic lives, are harmed because then now people are buying from the crazy cheap market over there where labor laws don't exist. So now people here can't sell their products or can't sell their agricultural products on the market for the same price, and ultimately that leads to an economic downturn here. But the people at the top of these companies are just making all sorts of money, and they're then turning around and filling the pockets of the people up in Washington who enact these policies that allow them to go to these places, and sort of, they then serve on the boards of these international monetary institutions that enforce and maintain this system of corporate hegemony over the entire globe. So that's what I think the song is getting at. Let me know if you have a different take. I really do like the sort of rip-roaring nature of the song once it gets going, but it's interesting. The opening of the song has, I think, one of the most famous lyrical and vocal segments of any Propagandhi track. So let's get to it. This is "And We Thought Nation States Were a Bad Idea" from Propagandhi's 1995 album on Fat Records, Less Talk, More Rock. You know, it's like, I said it backward, but I like that it comes in hard, then we go to a sort of stripped down lyrical vocal opening salvo, and then back to a more rip-roaring punk rock.
Publicly subsidized, privately profitable, the anthem of the operative, puppeteer, untouchable, focus a moment, not in approval, bury your heads in the bargains of these neo-colonials.
A new brand of power concentrate. And I'm just a kid. I can't believe I've got to worry about this kind of shit. What a stupid world. Yeah, your jobs, like, they're going away because the people you voted for get money from companies that want to do business in places where it's even cheaper to do so. Kept in place by displaced government death squads. And that's the thing, like, in these countries where these American companies go over there, you know, these dictators aren't very popular, so they have to have, like, you know, paramilitary groups roving around to make sure that their fiefdoms aren't troubled. And oftentimes the corporations from the US and elsewhere help with that. See Shell and their operations in Africa. Fuck this oh, bullshit display of class loyalty, that's what it is. Love it. Yeah, it's really fantastic. And when I saw them play it live, I do remember it had a bit more bite. I don't know if it was faster necessarily, but it was like they played it just a little bit harder, which, you know, you get that sometimes. Live versions of songs tend to be a bit pacey or a bit more intense. This is a very different avenue. But I remember when I was like 16, right after they came out with Cheshire Cat, I saw Blink-182. It was like at an espresso bar in San Juan Capistrano. It was like the venue maybe held 200 people. I don't even think it was that many. But they played some of their songs that were like crazy fast, like thrash versions of the songs on that album. So yeah, I know it's, you know, across the punk rock world you tend to get that. But I do remember that when I heard that song at that concert for the Today's Empires album many years ago. Yeah, let me know what you think. Let me know if, you know, your take on the lyrics is a little bit different. As I always say, I don't claim that any parts of my interpretations are definitive or even necessarily accurate, but just, you know, I try to speak about the way that I've thought about the lyrics and the song has hit me over the years. But yeah, let me know if you have a different take. Let me know if there's another song on this that I haven't reacted to yet. I mentioned a couple really good ones. Apparently I'm a PC fascist. I was a preteen McCarthyist. I'd like to get to at least those, if not some others, so do let me know if there's one you'd like to hear a reaction to. Other than that, thank you for listening and watching. I do appreciate it. Have a good day, have a good night. I'll see you next time. Peace.